everyone. Well, got a break from the rain. We had a torrential downpour yesterday here in Texas, and today it's been raining off and on. Everything's still pretty wet. It's really overcast still, but I see some blue skies. I went back to the truck after being out for a little while and loaded it down with a bunch of knives, like a whole bunch of knives. God bless. The reason I got a bunch of knives with me is because they all have different styles and, more importantly, different grinds. And that's going to help with what I wanted to share with you today. It's something that all of us do, all of us love to practice, and it's a lot of fun. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's ways that are easier than some, but I just kind of wanted to share a simple method that I use for making feather sticks. So I just wanted to help share a tip or trick that I use for some of you that might be new to bushcraft or to, making fires with only using wood. So we all know that feather sticks have their place. Some people only use them, some people never use them, some people hate them, some people love them. Regardless, at some point in our time in the outdoors, there might be a chance that we would need one. I can think of times like today when everything's pretty wet, and if I wanted to get a fire and I can't find good dry material that might be on the ground or up in the trees, splitting a bigger dead stick into multiple pieces might really help you out. The reason why I brought out multiple knives is because the biggest thing that I hear and that I see, even from some people that I've met that aren't really in the outdoors community, but they just love knives, so they collect really cool custom folding knives and whatever. When it comes to feather sticks, even woodworking in general, people really kind of get up in arms about different grinds and whether this one's the best or that one's the best, and there's no answer to that debate for me, and I don't think there's a genuine answer for anybody really, just because it's whatever you prefer. It's whatever works best for you. It's whatever you're most comfortable with using. I know for me, and anybody that knows me or has hung out with me, I prefer Scandi grinds. I've got my reasons, and it doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong or what, but that's just what I'm comfortable with using. So I brought out a good amount of knives that are different thicknesses and different grinds and shapes, so that you can see firsthand the way that I prefer to do my feather sticks works across the board, no matter what kind of grind you have or what kind of knife you're using. So down here below me, I have my haversack, and like I said, I brought a lot of knives, but I kind of picked and chose specific ones that most people kind of gravitate towards. And this isn't in any way to promote this or that company or this or that style. It's just, I think we get too hung up on we got to have a certain knife for this or that, when in reality, if you're proficient with your skill of a blade, I think it can kind of cross over to any style or any grind. Now, there are going to be some that work better than others, obviously. I'm not going to argue that. There's going to be, some that process meat better and others that process wood better. But I just kind of want to show that if you learn a certain technique, or if you practice enough, you can just pick up any knife that you want and get the job done. All right, so these are all the knives that I brought with me, and I know it seems like overkill, and it probably is, but I knew that after I got through with my little scout and fun times in the woods that I was going to be close back to my truck and I could film this quick video. So it's not like I walk around with all these all the time. I brought these specific ones kind of with this thought process. So starting from your left, my right, we have an older William Collins knife that's a kukri style with what feels like a convex edge on it. It's you can feel from where the actual grind starts down to the edge. It's a gradual convex. And we have the Matt Graham Condor knife, and it's more along the lines of a machete style blade, where it's got just a single bevel, and it pretty much comes to a 0 degree unless you were to change it. And then I'll jump up here to the tomahawk, and this has more along the lines of like what your axe would be if it was a Scandinavian style axe. It just comes down to a fine edge down here at the end. And then we have a machete, which we're all familiar with this kind of grind. This is more of a convex edge on the machete. It's not like your Gerber style that's just laid on the belt and the edge is put on. It does have a slight taper to it. Then this is my EDC that I carry all the time, and it is a full flat. Comes down, you know, all the way from the spine to the edge. It's a full flat. This is an old Joe Honeycutt blade. This is whenever he was Primal Edge, and for me this is more of a Scandivex. So we're transitioning now. Actually, I should probably flip these, but this is more of a Scandivex, where it's a really high Scandi, and then on the end is a slight secondary. One I just moved is your classic Coke bottle shaped knife. This is a special GNS, and it is also a convex. So we have a full convex here, kukri style with the recurve, and then a Woodlore GNS style blade with a convex. And then we'll move into what your typical bushcraft knives will look like. We've got a LT Wright knife here that's got a Scandi and a slight secondary edge on it from just a hard buff. Then you've got a Mora, that's the typical Mora Scandis. And then what I consider a true 0 degree Scandi is this Kellum Puko style, and it's a high Scandi, and it literally comes down to a razor's edge. That's probably the sharpest knife that I own. Is this overkill? Absolutely it is, but I kind of want to just show that no matter what knife you use, if you're familiar with how a blade works and kind of reading the wood, you can use any style blade to carve pretty much whatever you need. I will kind of go through these real quick and just show you that the way that I typically do feather sticks will work with any of these. You know, this isn't meant to be overkill, but it's just something that I do see quite a lot. And you know, I'm not advocating that this way is better than any other, but it's just something that is really handy that that I use and I enjoy. The process is the same with this. A lot of what I've learned from just playing around with feather sticking and carving wood is just reading the grain. And so even if you don't have a good straight grain wood like this is, you can just still read it in a way that you'll know and kind of anticipate, a lot like the guys that are really good at flint knapping can read the rocks. You can kind of anticipate what the wood's going to do. For me, the biggest thing with getting a good feather stick and, you know, making a big bundle is just getting a good edge, starting off with a good sharp edge on the wood. And then from there, all you're doing is just taking the corners off. So the second that, let's pretend this is my blade, the second that I draw my knife across this edge and the curls come out, I've now flattened that, but I've made a ridge to the left of it and to the right of it. So that's why you'll see guys turn as they do it. They'll do one here, they'll turn it, take that other edge, turn it back, take that edge, take this edge, and all you're doing is taking the corners off. And that's how you can, you know, get guys that are really good at it. Or, you know, if you look at Morris Kohansky's feather sticks, they're unbelievable. The longer the stick is, the greater chance you have of getting a longer curl, the more it'll push out that curl. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And for me, it's if I'm staying the night somewhere, or if I'm camping for the weekend or whatever, and I'm just sitting around camp, it's just really therapeutic. It's kind of like sharpening and honing a knife for me. It's really therapeutic to just do this. This is the first knife that I had on the end, the William Collins. It's a like I said, it's a convex, and it's a recurve, and a lot of people have a problem with recurve whenever they're going to do a feather stick because how the blade's shaped. And this is the little tip and trick that I've been talking about. I basically put my blade right here on my leg, on my knee, and I never move the blade whenever I'm doing a feather stick. I don't have to get on my knees and do it above something dry to catch my feathers if they break off. I don't have to, get down on the ground. I can literally sit here. If I am sitting on the ground under a tarp or something, I can do it Indian style, and it's safe. Since I'm not moving the blade, there's less chances for this blade to go somewhere that I don't want it to. So by me just resting it here on my knee, and even if you were to sit cross-legged, you could do it, or Indian style, you could do it. Just rest it towards the end of your knee. You can just leave it here, and now all you have to do is tilt your stick and figure out the angle of the blade towards the stick. And I kind of will start here and give myself, a hand hold, because that's the most dangerous part, is if you go too far forward, you can get the tip of your thumb. Don't ask me how I know that. So I start well in front of my hand, and I just kind of test it. So I know right here, when I hold the stick right here, the knife bites in, and from there you can just drag it until you start figuring it out. And you can literally do this with any of these blades. See? So here's your convex, and you can just make the most fine curls that you want. And my blade's never moving. If this stick happens to cut off, or the feathers break off, my blade's not shifting anywhere. It's nowhere near my danger areas with the inside of my legs or anywhere around me. People can walk by and be just fine. So see, I can make thicker feathers that'll burn slower, or I can make real fine ones that are just as tight as can be. Big blade, Matt Graham machete style. And as long as you can find that edge, you can make them. Now, are these as good as what I could do with a Scandi? No, but they're going to burn, and they'll ignite with a lighter or a ferro rod or whatever else you're going to be using. Here's the Woodlore GNS design style convex. Same thing. The Scandivex. The thinner your edge gets, the more it's going to want to bite in. So at this one, it's got a real high Scandi, and it even has a secondary. You got to be real careful, or it'll take out huge ones. So you just kind of learn the knife. You just keep the knife still, and all you do is move your stick. See, I'm not as good with this one as the others, but that's okay. It's still gonna work for you. We'll go ahead and do the Mora, and I'll show you once I get what I feel like is a nice little chunk of feathers like this one. What I'll do is I'll come in behind the last grouping of them that I made and bite in, and then pop off that whole section just like that. And then what I can do is, now I've kind of got a small feather stick, and if you need to, you can even stick this in the ground and get it up off the ground so that you could put a pile of feathers underneath it. I know this is really thorough and in-depth for just something like a feather stick. And can you do it other ways to where you just do it real quick and you don't have to worry about any kind of form or anything? Absolutely. You know, like there's guys that'll just do ones like this. And those work too, you know. But I wanted to do this to show you that it's not necessarily about the knife. It's more about the skill behind it. Big machete blade. And I know this is really straight grain wood. I wouldn't be able to do something like this if I had, you know, hickory or oak or any of that. But I also wouldn't pick up a piece of dead oak to make a feather stick with. I would use that for my fuel, and I would pick up something softer like cottonwood or willow or whatever to try to do that. You can even do it with a tomahawk or a hatchet. It's the same process, it's just a little harder. The handling's a little bit weirder, but you can still do it, and it's still safe. And the more you turn the wood this way, the more the feathers are going to kick out that way. If you have it straight, the curls are going to curl up on themselves this way and bunch up real tight. If you turn your stick this way, the curls will shoot out that way. And that's how you'll see guys what I call Christmas tree it, and they'll just go all the way around the stick. And I don't think I need to do any more. I mean, it's easy enough. You can just apply it to any stick you want, but for the heck of it, this is probably one of the best woodworking knives I have. It is just a razor. That's my little tip or trick for feather sticking. So just wanted to share with you a quick way that I do feather sticks, and if it helps you out, that's awesome. If you do it a different way, there's no right or wrong way, you know, just as long as we're having fun doing this. And that's really what all this is about. It's why we get our gear, it's why we go out, and I hope that it's a big reason why we keep doing it, and that we don't ever have to put these skills to use, but if we do, it's good to know that we've been practicing and that we know how. So thanks for watching today's video. I hope it helped you out, and I really appreciate all the support you give me and the views and all of that. It just makes it a lot of fun. So get out in the woods and enjoy yourself, and have a good one, guys.